War. War never changes.
Good times. Good times. Bethesda Softworks is one of my favorite video game dev teams of all time, creating some of my favorite games I've ever played. Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout 4. I have sunk hundreds of hours across multiple playthroughs of each of those games. I still remember the first time I ever played a Bethesda game. I was actually in 8th grade and I had never even heard of Bethesda. At the time, I hadn't played even Oblivion yet, and I bought Fallout 3 on a whim. It was my birthday weekend in 2008. I was in 8th grade and I went to GameStop all giddy with enough birthday money for 3 brand new video games. I went in already knowing the first 2 games I would buy, Dead Space and Gears of War 2, were already in my sights, but I had a third game that I needed to get. What was it gonna be? So I searched the crystal sea of video games, aka the dusty shelves of GameStop, new, used, and old, looking for what that game might be. That's when I picked up the recently released Fallout 3. I looked at the cover art on the front, flipped it over on the back, and read the description, and it sounded cool enough, so I had made my decision. I walked out with 3 brand new video games, giddy with a smile on my little naive 8th grade face, and a weekend full of video games to come. I got home and I put in Dead Space first and had a blast. The game is a little bit intense for my little 8th grade nerves, so I took a break, played some Gears of War 2, and had a lot of fun embodying the boots of Marcus Phoenix once again to kill the hordes of locust aliens. But finally, the time had come. And little did I know that I was about to go down a rabbit hole from which I would find it difficult to emerge. I popped Fallout 3 into that shaky Xbox 360 disc tray, only to be sucked into the capital wasteland like I was stuck in an inescapable black hole. I remember after playing Fallout 3 all weekend, Monday morning came before school. I woke up an hour early just to play it. It was the first game I was certifiably addicted to. I proceeded to scour every inch of the wasteland and forge my own path as the lone wanderer for hundreds of hours across multiple playthroughs. It immediately became my favorite game that I had ever played. And now it's 2022, and if everything goes right, another big Bethesda RPG is coming near my birthday again.
Go for launch.
But mine and everyone else's relationship with Bethesda is a little different these days. To put it simply, Bethesda really needs Starfield to be a home run shot to the moon.
He is not, and Tatis drives one to deep left field. He drives one to the moon. High, deep, and very gone.
And not because Bethesda is financially hurting or anything like that. They are financially fine. In fact, they're probably more secure than ever right now after being acquired by Microsoft. What is not secure, though, is their reputation. If you are unaware, Bethesda's reputation is on the line. And the success or failure of Starfield will either make or break them with gamers. So what's it going to be? Will Starfield be top quality? Will it right the wrongs of their past minor mistakes that have been building to a boiling point? Will Starfield be a jank fest at launch just like every other Bethesda game?
We're all brothers and sisters in binds now.
What's wrong with him, huh?
Will Bethesda add in the scummy microtransactions to Starfield that rub gamers the wrong way with Fallout 76? Before we answer these questions, we've got to look at Bethesda's quick fall from grace, while also looking at the small mistakes that led up to the fast downfall. For most of Bethesda's existence as a video game development company, they have been one of the most loved by gamers in all the industry. Bethesda quickly became a beloved dev team that could essentially do no wrong other than release glitchy video games, but we got over that because the overall quality and quantity of their games were so good and so addictive. But eventually, gamers began to grumble about the constant jank with each subsequent Bethesda release. 20 years later, and Bethesda is still releasing glitchy, poorly optimized, sometimes half-broken video games because they know they don't need to put the extra work in to fix it.
That's great. We don't often get to bring people good news. It's a nice change of pace. I enjoy this work well enough.
Stop! You violated the law. Pay the court a fine or serve your sentence. Your stolen goods are now forfeit.
We are all going to purchase it, play it, and praise it, just like we've been doing for 20 years now with Bethesda games. In fact, Bethesda became so comfortable and confident in their formula, they know they can sell us the exact same game over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and gamers will purchase it, play it, and praise it. All while Todd Howard and company just sit around a table together.
Gentlemen, in exactly 5 days, we will be $100 billion richer.
Bethesda burst onto the scene with Elder Scrolls Morrowind in 2002, which was a beloved fantasy RPG from the get-go. And then they came out with success after success and became the prominent Western RPG game developers. Oblivion came out next and further cemented that these guys knew how to make a fantastic RPG. Fallout 3 came out in 2008, the first modern, new iteration of a Fallout game, and it immediately captured everyone's attention. It received Game of the Year awards from most that year, including myself, and it was a total blast. Then Skyrim came out 3 years later, and again, everyone loved it. Even though Skyrim still was a bit of a glitchy mess, it's just that good old Bethesda charm, right? We won't talk about the fact that Skyrim was broken on PS3 consoles. Just kidding, yes we will. If you bought Skyrim on PS3, well, that was unfortunate for you because basically, the more you played the game's save data would just become more and more corrupted. It was giving PS3 players more and more bugs as they played and eventually just corrupting people's save game entirely, literally making the game unplayable on PS3 consoles. But Skyrim still won Game of the Year from pretty much everyone, and it's regarded as one of the greatest games of all time. And I agree, it is one of the greatest games of all time. But then some years went by, and Bethesda started milking that Skyrim cow, like I just mentioned a moment ago, over and over and over. And eventually that milk became sour and left a bad taste in everyone's mouth.
All right, spoiled milk explosion in 3, 2...
Oh, and also, don't forget about the horse armor. When microtransactions weren't the scum of the earth yet, but somehow Bethesda, being Bethesda, decided to come out early with the scummery and tried to sell us horse armor for $2.50 in an offline single-player game. And this was before Skyrim and Fallout 3. This was in Oblivion. But this was just the beginning of Bethesda's greedy Scrooge McDuckery.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is
Fallout 76.
Yeah. Fallout 76 is the straw that really broke the camel's back, and Bethesda has been kind of reeling a bit since. Not only was 76 completely lambasted on launch, and rightfully so, they continuously shot themselves in the foot over and over again. The game was completely broken. But of course, the microtransaction shop where you could buy cosmetic items and such for your Wasteland Survivor was totally fine, in full working order. Priorities, Bethesda. Priorities. Bethesda even messed up stuff outside of the game, with Collector's Edition collectibles just being falsely advertised and further upsetting loyal customers. This whole Fallout 76 saga has just been kind of a mess. 76 is simply a bad video game all around, and I know there are some loyal fans that will defend that game till the end of days, but I just don't get you. It's not a good video game.
You can't handle the truth.
Yes, Bethesda has updated it and released new content for the game, and I've gone back to 76 hoping and praying that the game is finally a good Fallout game, and every time I go back, I'm reminded why I left. Let me be clear, I desperately want Starfield to be a great video game. I want Starfield to be Bethesda's magnum opus. I want Starfield to be one of the best games ever made. I want it to blow me and everyone else completely out of the water. I'm a gamer. I love video games. Of course, I want the game to be great, and I want it to be a success in every way for Bethesda. But I am nervous. Bethesda has given me and every other gamer reasons to be highly skeptical about Starfield, and I definitely am. Will Starfield be the next Skyrim, or will it be another unfortunate flop as they attempt to ride the same train Bethesda has been riding for the last 20 years, as gamer patience and acceptance of their shaky products have waned? In all honesty, I have watched and read very little about Starfield. Why? Because I really do not care what is said or discussed about the game until they release actual, legitimate, extended gameplay of Starfield. And so far, we've seen none of that. Say whatever you want about the game, talk about how excited you are, talk about how hard you and everyone at Bethesda has been working. That's great, and I'm sure that stuff is true. I'm not saying they aren't working their butts off to make Starfield the best game they've ever made. I mean, it's Bethesda's first new intellectual property they have ever created, so of course they're going to give it their all, but I don't care about anything that is being said about the game until I see the proof in the gameplay pudding. And so far, we have seen virtually nothing of Starfield. All they have released is basically some Starfield devs and Todd Howard sitting in a circle talking about how amazing the game is going to be as they flash us some concept art and snippets of in-game cutscenes. But I know what their plan is. I mean, I can't be certain of this, but I'm sure they are doing exactly what they did with Fallout 4. Hype was huge for Fallout 4, and the game was set to release on November 10th, 2015. And at this same time in 2015, we had seen virtually nothing of Fallout 4. Same kind of stuff. Devs and Todd Howard talking about how great the game was as they show some concept art and some in-game cutscenes. But then, in June of 2015, just 5 months before we were all playing Fallout 4, they revealed everything that had been cooking. And they delivered on what they revealed. Yes, the game was still a bit buggy at launch, just like every other Bethesda release, but it wasn't bad, and the game was great. Not perfect, but a great game, and it immediately became Bethesda's best-selling game of all time. So, here we are. June is right around the corner, and there's no E3 this year, but that doesn't matter for Bethesda. I'm sure they're planning on having their own big press conference where they show off major Starfield gameplay, and we're all going to oogle and awe and get hyped. I'll probably be right there with you. But what's the game going to be like? What's the combat like? Will exploration basically be the same as Fallout and Skyrim, or will it be kind of like No Man's Sky where we get to explore tons of different planets? Will the world be dense and full of detail, or will it be sparse and devoid of the real meat that we love about Bethesda's open worlds? Will the conversation system remain the same? What changes will they make, if any? Will it go back to Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas's silent protagonist, but text options that you see and get to choose? A lot of people liked that more than the Fallout 4 spoken protagonist. So what is that going to look like? Will the animations and graphics finally catch up to the rest of the industry with their creation engine too, or will the game still kind of be stuck in that uncanny valley? Will Bethesda gain their reputation back and be once again in the good graces of gamers? Or will they further dig their own graves? Only time will tell, and we won't be able to definitively answer any of these questions until November 11th of this year, assuming that it actually comes out on November 11th of this year. But I sincerely hope that Bethesda hits a home run shot to the moon with Starfield, and it goes down in history as one of the greatest games of all time.